Welcome back to Live with Mayor Nenshi. My name is Phoenix, and that is Mayor Nenshi. And what we're looking at right now are some incredible images of the Stampede grounds. And as you mentioned a few moments ago, Mr. Mayor, that's not too far away. And there's a gentleman here that's sitting beside me. His name is James. Now, James has a food truck. Food trucks are very, very popular here in the city. And is it true that your truck actually was handing out free food?
Yeah, so our group, YYC Food Trucks, kind of banded together in the initial stages of things happening to get out and feed some of those first responders.
Thank you.
And,
thank you on behalf of Calgarians. That's fantastic.
We've had some partners step up with some cash to help us continue our effort, but it's been amazing.
He's pretty amazing, too. He's done a lot of work. His crew seem to have done a lot of work as well, too. Your question for the mayor?
First and foremost, what you and your team do to inspire the city are amazing. So,
thank you.
I just wanted to touch on Stampede. We mentioned it earlier. I know how I feel about it, but I wanted to hear your take on how important it is to the city.
How do you feel about it?
It's I've lived in Calgary my whole life, and it's what makes us Calgary.
Yeah. Your concern, Mr. Mayor, if I may, is that you say that the Stampede grounds is like a business and should be treated like a business. If I'm speaking out of turn, please correct me.
You are a little, but keep going.
Okay, and well, I'll let you finish that, because we'd like to know your perspective about the efforts going towards Stampede.
Sure. So just before I do that, let me say thank you to James and his crew at YYC Food Trucks, not just for what they've done this time, but they're amazing corporate citizens. James single-handedly has done a lot to change the culture of this city, which is great. And before I forget, we have had an amazing amount of corporate citizens in this city, unbelievable corporations stepping up to the plate, local companies, people whose business it is to haul out basements, but doing it for free. Amazing work. And I'm not saying this to suck up, but I will tell you one of the most amazing corporate citizens that we're so proud to have based here in Calgary is Shaw. It's unbelievable what Shaw has done. From opening up their Wi-Fi network to just sending out tons of employees. People in neighborhoods have told me Shaw just came by with food all the time. To building Wi-Fi in our reception centers. Thank you, Shaw. To the question. I kind of agree with this, is that this is our spirit. It's part of who we are as a community. Hell or high water is what they're saying. It's the right thing to do. Now, I got to tell you, I went to see the Stampede and I said, I'm worried about two things, guys. Number one is I don't want you to have the show if people are going to be unsafe. And you have to make sure that the park is safe, and it dried out really fast. The Elbow River carved a new channel through the middle of the infield, and I'm amazed that it actually receded, but it did. And I know, as I keep saying, I have so many powers under a local state of emergency, but I do not have the powers to hold back those Stampede volunteers. They know what they're doing. The second thing I said to them is my priority needs to be to get people back in their homes, to get downtown up and running, to get the power back. We're here for you if you need us, but we can't be the primary, the city, capital C city, can't be the primary people. And they said, Mayor, we don't need that. So I'm telling you that 6.5 days from now, I will be wearing my new cowboy boots. Well, I have to find time to buy the new cowboy boots. So let me back up on that. I'll be wearing my old cowboy boots, riding a horse at the front of that parade, and that'll be an opportunity to tell the world that we're back, and I'm really excited about it.
We are excited as well, too. We have more phone calls coming your way, 403-539-6710. There's still room for your calls. Here's Carter from Acadia. Carter, this is the mayor. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to say I'm so proud to be a Canadian or a Calgarian during all of this, and incredibly grateful for everything that you've done, and very proud to have you at the helm. But my question comes in. I know it's incredibly unfortunate that there are so many people out of their homes, but I'm also, on the flip side of that, concerned that people will be doing gouging, say, like rental price hikes. Will anything be put into place to control that?
Yeah.
Or
we haven't seen much evidence at all of gouging. Every time there's a rumor on Twitter about $20 ice, we go and investigate it, and we've seen most of those are not true. In fact, most businesses have been doing exactly the opposite. There's more free ice places than there are $20 ice places. I am worried now about two things. I'm worried about kind of fly-by-night renovators and people who are going to come and help, and I'm worried about, just as you say, rental accommodation, especially for all those folks who've been displaced. There's not a ton we can do about this except reminding people to be careful, to check references. This is for the first one. And to deal with honest people, even if that means you might wait a little longer to get your renos done. I think that's very wise. In terms of the rental accommodations, you know, we're going to have a big policy discussion over the summer. We do have an election coming up, and it's a good time to have one of those discussions about secondary suites, about how we can manage that situation. But what I really, really would encourage people to do is, if we've learned one thing through all of this, it's the power of the individual to affect change. So if you see examples of people who are gouging, publicize it. Put it out on the social media. Let us know about it. Let the city know. Let the province know. More important, let citizens know. And I think that citizens will have the power to, frankly, shame people who are doing that work and correct that situation. I think that's probably a better way to go than government regulation, but I know the province, and the Premier has been clear on this, I know the province will step in if they need to. And I will remind you that during the local state of emergency until July 4th, it's actually illegal to increase your prices or fix prices, and we have stuff to do about that. But we haven't had to do it because no one's been doing it.
A beautiful community in our city is Ranch Lands, and Dennis is calling from there for the mayor. Dennis, go right ahead.
Good evening.
Hi, Dennis.
This is Dennis.
Go ahead, Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dennis Mack. I was curious, does the mayor get automatically white-hatted? If not, I think he should be white-hatted for his what he's doing.
But Dennis, who would white hat me? That's my job.
Yeah.
Maybe the citizens.
Another
That's very, very
question.
sweet. Thank you. It's very sweet. You know, I'll tell you a quick funny story to end here. We're probably just finishing off, which is I actually very rarely wear the white hat myself. If I'm giving a white hat to someone else, I'm very rarely wearing it. I'll wear a different color hat sometimes, but I'll very rarely wear the white one because I always want the person who I'm giving the white hat to feel special. Like this is something unique just for them. And last Stampede, I met Don McKay, who was the mayor who started the white hat tradition. I met his daughters, and they were really put out by the fact that I myself didn't wear the white hat. And we had a big debate about it. They were convinced they were right and I was wrong. And then I got an email from them a few weeks later going, all right, we understand what you were saying. You're still wrong, though. So we'll see how that ends up.
We have a few minutes, but we have a lot of phone calls. Mr. Mayor, would you be willing to stay for just a few more minutes to answer just a couple more calls?
Absolutely. This is live TV. You can do that?
We could absolutely do that.
We're not sliding into Flavors of Africa?
You know, we're doing a lot of... That's okay. They're good with this. One of the things we've been talking about, well, too, is, of course, the support that Calgarians have been giving. And just to give you an idea, $10.2 million so far. $10.2 million so far has been raised for the Red Cross in response to the Alberta floods. And that is a welcome thing. Help is still needed, though, online, www.redcross.ca, or you can call 1-800-418-1111.
Can I jump in
Sure,
there for a
please do,
moment?
real quick.
The Red Cross has done amazing work, and thank you so much to the Red Cross. I should also let you know that the Calgary Foundation has set up a new flood recovery fund. And that will be used to help organizations that are really assisting in recovery. The Red Cross is amazing at disaster relief, amazing. And other organizations may be great at recovery and cleanup. So you have two choices, the Red Cross and the Calgary Foundation, and you can find them at calgaryfoundation.ca, I believe.
And I'm also going to throw one more in here since you mentioned that, yycmemories.com. This is an organization.
Know about that.
Yes, there's a group of photographers in the city.
Oh, I know about this, yes.
And here's the idea behind this.
Great.
If you are affected by the flood and you've lost all of your pictures and all of your memories, yycmemories.com has done this. They're organizing and they're asking for photographers to come in, join, and sign up so that they can take pictures of people who have been affected by the flood.
Isn't that awesome?
And it's an absolutely amazing, and that's
make new memories.
That's what Calgary is all about. Are we going to go to commercial? Or are we going to keep going here, guys? Gus from Pembroke. There we go. A few more questions for the mayor. Gus from Pembroke. Gus, go ahead, please.
Hi, Gus.
Go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon. Compliments, Mr. Mayor. Is the mayor on there?
Yes, I'm right
go
here.
Ahead, Gus.
Okay. The following. Years ago, I drove a gentleman around our beautiful city. He's the head of the environmental protection in the harbors in Rotterdam. So when I showed him our beautiful city and I showed him the railroad going through the heart of the city with dangerous materials on it, he said, "This is impossible, Gus. How is that possible in these days that dangerous material transported through the heart of the city. He said, this is unbelievable. So this gentleman was really flabbergasted and upset. So I asked him, asked the mayor, is it possible that the mayor does something in future, or are these contracts cannot be broken with the CNN anymore, that they say? But he was, this shouldn't happen in these times anymore, that dangerous materials are transported through the heart of the city. That is basically my question for the mayor.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting situation, which I'm sure no one knows about, which is that the railroads, Canadian Pacific and Canadian National, because they predate the cities, and in some ways they predate the provinces, they are only regulated by the federal government. So the railroads are the only private business within municipal borders that the city has no regulatory authority over. So their noise bylaws don't apply, for example. We have no authority to restrict when the trains go through level crossings at rush hour and so on. So we have managed to work really well with CN and with CP over the years, and we've had very, very few before today incidents of how they go through the heart of our city. You know, they've been here as long as the city's been here. So I've heard that case a lot. But frankly, I don't know that it'll ever change. And so what we need to do is make sure that we have environmental standards and regulations and safety standards that keep everyone safe. Are we ever going to move those rail tracks off of 9th Avenue? You know, I don't see it happening in my lifetime, and I don't think that the regulatory environment is there for that. But what we need to do is make sure that we can work with them both to have access to our downtown, between downtown and the Beltline, but also to ensure that everyone is as safe as possible.
Your popularity has spread, Mr. Mayor. This is from Snickers. A tweet from Snickers says, will the mayor please do Edmonton the honor of running for our mayor in October? Please don't answer that because we don't want to let go of you. Rod, you have a question for the mayor. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
First off, I just want to commend you on the job you're doing. I think we're all just incredibly proud of you and how you've taken leadership of this. One question that I've kind of come up is, before this disaster hit, is that I didn't really know who SEMA was or what SEMA did, and nobody else I did knew what they did.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But as we've seen the response, a lot of us have just kind of been like, wow, like, look how everything's coming together, and there's still a lot of work to be done. I just wondered if you could kind of speak to what SEMA is.
Sure.
Their history, and, you know, kind of moving forward, what you see their role is, both in the immediate disaster recovery and in the future.
Great. I'm happy to do that. And I keep telling them I don't want to call them SEMA anymore because no one knows what that means, even though I'm wearing a shirt that says SEMA. So I'm just calling them Calgary Emergency Management. And it is a very, very small department within the city. And they do exactly what you think they do. They prepare for and manage emergencies. The director of SEMA, Bruce Burrell, is also the fire chief. But when I always tease him because he's got many outfits in his car, and he has to change all the time. So when a state of emergency is declared or when we have to open our emergency center, he ceases to be the fire chief. He gives up that role and he becomes the director of SEMA. Normally he kind of wears both hats. And so Calgary Emergency Management helps prepare for, plan, and manage disasters. And I hope that they have really easy shifts and they're really bored and they get lots of time off. But when they're not, this is what they do. And I'll just give you a little glimpse into the Emergency Operations Center, which is brand new. It only opened 2 months ago, and I complained about how much money we spent on it. And I keep missing my tour. So the first time I had ever stepped foot into the Emergency Operations Center was when I landed on that plane on Thursday night. I still haven't had a tour, but I figured out where the washroom is. But imagine this, okay? There's a big room. Imagine in a movie the control center at NASA in Houston with the big monitors and screens everywhere and a bunch of people sitting in cubicles. That's exactly what it is. And all those people in cubicles, it's a bit like whack-a-mole. So someone will jump up and say, from Emergency Social Services, and say, I'm evacuating a bunch of seniors from Rouleauville, but I need a bus. Transit, I need a bus. And the transit guy will jump up and say, what's the address? I'm sending a bus. It's remarkable. City agencies, organizations like Alberta Health Services, the airport, the Building Owners and Managers Association, who've had volunteers doing 12-hour shifts so that as soon as we energize a grid, they contact the property managers and the building owners and say, go inspect your building. Seamless, coordinated, unbelievable. I've always said we have one of the best emergency plans in the city, and to see these guys in action is great. but I hope they have really easy shifts and a long holiday in August. 'cause they'll
We
need
all
that.
do, Mr. Mayor. We have a special treat for you. I hope you don't mind a little surprise. Bob, would you please bring it out here? We've been inundated with tweets, Mr. Mayor, about the fact that you've been standing up this entire hour and a bit. So if you don't mind, if you could do Calgary the luxury, and please have a seat over here.
I might just take a nap.
Yeah, we have another call for you, and again, we thank you for your patience. Keith from Oak Ridge, you have a question for the mayor. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mayor Nenshi. Thanks for putting this forum on. As a guy who's been in the trades and maintenance business for the last 35 years in the city, born and raised here, I have some friends down in the Elbow Park area that I've been helping out the last few days, and it's really, really encouraging to see all the young folks pitching in and helping out down there. My nephew being one of them. And what I'd like to do is ask you to remind all of the guys on the tools who have had the experience of looking after and training apprentices to maybe keep an extra eye out for all the young people that are helping out down there, and all the sharp objects, all the heavy loads, all the other little safety things that we sometimes take for granted ourselves, and trust our apprentices to pick up on, that they be extra vigilant and keep an eye out for all these young guys, and all the young women
They may not know what they're doing.
helping out, because I even had 2 young girls come through the fence the other day with homemade cookies, and it's it's good to see, and I'd hate to see, this is when fatigue is going to set in, and I'd really hate to see anybody get hurt at this point.
Keith, that's beautiful. Thank you for caring. I think you just did remind all those people, but we'll continue to push that message out. And it's so wonderful that you're even thinking of that, because we managed to make it this far without people being hurt. And God, it would be awful if we ended up in that situation now. So I'll continue to remind people of that. By the way, wear gloves, wear a mask. You don't, especially if you're stripping down drywall, you don't know what's behind there. Let's remind people of doing that. And that's a great idea, to remind the actual tradespeople who are there to keep an eye out for people. I just want to say one quick thing about tradespeople. We're doing a lot of innovative things, and one of the things we're doing is we are sending in teams of inspectors, so they only come to your house once, and you get your gas inspected and your electricity inspected and so on. And I ran into one of these teams on the street in Sunnyside last night, and one of the great things was there was a guy there who wasn't wearing a City of Calgary vest. He was wearing his own vest. This is an electrician, and he was volunteering. The electricians went out and said, guys, just join these teams. And so after the electrical inspector said, well, I can't turn the power on in this house until that outlet is isolated and that outlet is turned off and that switch is taken away, the guy just did it. They didn't have to wait for another electrician. He just came in with his headlamp and just did it, so that before they left that house, they could flip the switch and turn the power on. That was amazing. And he was volunteering late at night. And so tradespeople, you've been outstanding. Thank you.
It's our last call, Mr. Mayor. And again, thank you very much for your patience, and thank you for your patience. This is Jaylene from Okotoks, who actually works in the downtown core. Your question for the mayor. Go ahead, Jaylene.
Thank you. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to let the mayor know how much I appreciated all his efforts, and to say thank you so much. You are a true leader and not really a politician at all, in my view of politicians, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I hope things are good down in Okotoks. You've got an excellent mayor down there, too. I shouldn't say two. You have an excellent mayor down there. And he, by the way, he has a part-time job at the Calgary Stampede. He manages one of the gates. And he always rolls out the red carpet for me when I come. Literally, he's got a little red mat, and he rolls it out. He has been super busy. So, Bill, if you're watching, I hope you make it to the Stampede, but I know you got a lot of cleanup to do, too.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you've been extremely busy, and for you to take your time out here, we do appreciate it. I know our studio audience appreciate it, and I know you at home appreciate it as well, too. Sure, you can clap for him. It doesn't matter. Don't hold it back. Sure. Just a reminder, we would like to thank also all of our volunteers that are helping out today as well, too. We here at Shaw are very proud to know that we have a great staff of volunteers, if you will. So thank you to everyone. We mentioned it earlier about the $10.2 million for Red Cross. Again, www.redcross.ca or 1-800-418-1111. This has been Live with Mayor Nenshi. On behalf of everyone here and the studio audience, you at home and you who've been tweeting and Facebooking, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. And again, Spirit of Calgary, folks. This is what we've seen, and I hope you're all proud and blessed to live in this place. I sure know that I am. Thanks all.
We all are. Thank you very much, and thank you again. Thank you.